chat of the IIM Lucknow Chief Operations Officer program. Hope you all had a good start to the weekend with a vibrant Saturday. So don't mind that we're taking out some time on your Sunday evening, but hope it's for the best. Let me take a few minutes to just introduce our speakers for today and give you a glimpse of our program. I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know when you can see it. I hope you all can see my screen. Once again, I welcome you all to the Fireside chat of this program, the first of its kind launched by IIM Lucknow. We have with us esteemed faculty from IIM Lucknow, the program directors of this program, Dr. Suresh Jakhad and Dr. Himanshu Rathore, both coming with a rich academic and industry experience. Dr. Suresh Jakhad published more than 35 research papers in various international journals and has conducted more than 100 training programs for various executives. He also received the Best Faculty Award and was figured among the top 2% researchers globally in the Stanford University list. And Dr. Himanshu Rathore authored research articles in reputed scientific journals and has presented his work at leading international conferences. He's also a Six Sigma Green Belt certified industrial engineer by background and has also conducted various management development programs. Welcome, professors. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. And we also have Mr. Pranjal Kumar, who's the Global CFO and Head of Corporate Development Emeritus with us today. Pranjal comes with a rich industry experience of 18 plus years and has led multiple high impact positions in investing, transaction advisory, strategic consulting, and operations. In his current role, he spearheads strategic initiatives that drive enterprise value. And he's an expert in identifying and investing in aspiring leader assets and executing growth strategy and driving operational excellence. Welcome, Pranjal. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Moving on, let me give you a brief context about how this program came into existence and why this program has been created today in the first place. If you look at the role of an operations leader, the roles and responsibilities, they are multifold. They strive for optimization. They look for process-driven review of performance to lead innovation. They seek continuous improvement. They drive customer centricity and change management, execute business strategies, and solve cross-functional challenges, and a lot more. And an interesting data point to note is that 56% of CEOs emphasize the need to aggressively pursue operational agility and flexibility. That is because operations is at the core of every business today. And looking at how the role of a COO has been evolving in this fast-paced business landscape. The most common word that you hear today is probably disruption, right? People talk about leveraging cloud, digital, big data, how to leverage them in their businesses and enhance business success, accelerated adoption of emerging technologies, and how to build analytics capabilities within the teams, how to cross-collaborate, how to improve cross-functional collaboration. All of these have become strategic responsibilities of a COO and are the need of the hour. And another interesting data point to note is that 34% of the candidates that were appointed as first-time CEOs in the last 1 year were from operations, which clearly implies that being a COO lays a very strong and promising path to being a CEO. And it also, upskilling in this particular area helps create and sustain competitive advantage for your businesses, and which is why this program was created in the first place by IIM Lucknow and Emeritus. Another couple of important data points, more about where the focus of CEOs is shifting today and what are their priorities today. So 81% of the CEOs rely heavily on data to improve the organization's operational efficiency. And they also 34% plan to make changes in technology transformation for business efficiency in 2022. And all of these, again, come from the word disruption, right? That's where their focus and priorities are shifting to. And that's why this program also came into existence. And this is an 11-month high impact program with a fine blend of live online sessions and campus immersion component. Planned to start on 30th of June with a fee of 4 lakh plus GST. I'll give you more details about this program. Why this particular program? You get to learn from the best faculty, IIM Lucknow, and some industry experts as well. It also helps peer give you an experience of peer-to-peer learning and give you a blend of modules, capstone projects, and real-world case studies. You will have an experience of a 5-day campus immersion, and you also get the benefit of IIM Lucknow's executive alumni status, a very privileged one, and to a certificate from one of India's top B schools. This school, IIM Lucknow, does not need any introduction. One of the top B schools in India time and again, and also is double accredited. So I will not take a lot of time talking about this school. Who is this program for? If you're wondering whether this program is for me, whether I'm at the right place, this is for senior professionals and business leaders who are transitioning to a COO role to advance their strategic and functional knowledge in operational excellence, and also new and evolving COOs who are looking to drive greater business efficiency. This program especially curated and has a blend of both digital and engineering operations, which is again the need of the hour today. And any graduate, diploma holder, or postgraduate with a minimum of 10 years of experience as on June 30th, that is the start of the program, is eligible to apply for this program. And the candidate should have minimum 50% marks in graduation, diploma, or post-graduation, and needs to be currently working. These are the basic eligibility criteria to apply for this program. All of these details are available in our collaterals and landing pages, just listing it out again for you guys. Talking about the program modules, we have a fine blend, like I mentioned, of engineering operations and digital operations, and contemporary topics like digital transformation, design thinking, business analytics, what are the recent advances in business operations. And for anyone in the C-suite, it is important to have an understanding and a flavor of leadership, change management, and financial analysis and planning, because P&L is a core, is a part of any C-suite leader's responsibilities. So it's a fine blend of engineering and digital operations with a good flavor of leadership and finance, and a good add-on from contemporary topics that lead to disruption today. And we also have a bunch of real-world case studies. Some of them are listed for your reference here. For example, about Amazon.com, Walmart and its supply chain management, how Zara works with an integrated store and online model. There are a lot more case studies. These are just indicative and a few for your understanding. What would someone learn by the end of this program? So, like I mentioned already, gives you a contemporary understanding of both digital and engineering operations management, enhancing leadership capabilities to be able to drive value chain innovation effectively, and beyond optimization, to be able to strengthen cross-disciplinary integration and collaboration, and transform your business with strong financial and analytical skills, to drive and sustain competitive advantage, and to lead high-performing teams. All of these which are the roles and responsibilities of a COO. And a word of advice or note from the program directors, that the operational capabilities of a company allow it to steer its way through a volatile, uncertain, and competitive market. This program is designed for CEOs, business leaders, to develop the necessary operational skill sets that are required to think strategically and act decisively. So this is how the program certificate of this program is going to look like for your reference. The learning journey of this program is going to be very rich to improve your intellectual capital, managing the brand capital coming from a strong brand like IIM Lucknow, and the tag of the executive alumni status of IIM Lucknow, and to be able to build your career capital and accelerate your leadership career on top of it. Now I would hand over the reins to Pranjal to moderate this session and have some discussion with the faculty, and then take on any Q&As from the audience as well.
Thank you, Shweta, for setting the context. And again, welcome everyone for this exciting webinar. It's my honor to be sitting next to Dr. Suresh and Dr. Himanshu to, steer this webinar and the panel discussion. So welcome again, Dr. Suresh and Dr. Himanshu to this panel. Let me start off by saying that, look, and being a little provocative and say, look, I'm a 10-year plus experienced professional. I have learned on the job. and I'm rising up the ranks of, operations. Why should I be looking at a program like this and, try to spend my time for 11 months learning in this program, right? What isn't it there for me as a working professional, which I should take out from my career and spend time on? So, maybe Dr. Suresh, if you can shed some light on why should professionals like us do this upskilling program?
All right. Thank you, Pranjal, for asking very interesting question. So, I was thinking about that, why do we design such program? Why do, as you mentioned, the executives who already worked more than 10 years in corporates needs upskilling? And what role COO or to be COO executives and what myths around that? So I thought about that, and let me throw some light on the same. So, what I believe that the required skill set to excel in today's, dynamic business environment are neither generic or nor portable over time. So whatever, learned 10 years back might not be relevant in today's business perspective. And I strongly believe that forget about switching an organization, even within the same organization, the right qualification the CEO required and the role of CEO might shift over time. And although there is general sense that the operations executive or CEO in particular, are these kind of roles are more prevalent in operations intensive organizations like the productions, marketing, sales, and services. But there is a growing sense for increasing the diversity in the roles and responsibilities of the executives who handle operations. And moreover, specifically for COO, if I have to define in a line that what CEO ultimately needs to do is to turn company's vision into reality. And often the long-term plan for COO is to fill in the CEO's shoes sooner or later, because ultimate goal is to reach there. And as Sweta mentioned, there are news article published recently in business media, which essentially says that more of CEO appointed recently comes from operations background. But I think you agree that the kind of skill set required to be a CEO are much more diverse. That's number one. And number two is the business environment is very dynamic and agile. So for example, if I think loud, who is a COO in one word, for example, then word like an executors or a change agent or a person with responsibility to deliver results on day-to-day or quarter-to-quarter basis. But in my opinion, a COO in today's context is a person who has to wear several hats all at once. So there's an increasing broader preview of a CEO job. And essentially this broader preview will allow COO to learn about the whole organizations, its businesses, environment, and people. And this ultimately provide an individual, a perspective or holistic approach to grow. So what I believe that in doing this program, we will, we have kept all those aspects in mind, and we strongly believe that this program will facilitate participants to learn how to capitalize in the evolving business opportunities and how to accelerate your own development as a leader to get ready for future organization. And I am a firm believer that all of the future organizations will definitely going to operate in hyper competitive and dynamic marketplace like today's high-tech firms. So I strongly believe on one fact that, even if we are doing our job in best possible way today, still we need to evolve with time. And specifically when we are at the most exciting, but at the same time, most disruptive time of business history. my biggest worry is that, this inertia of business as usual mindset actually prevents us to think out of the box. And I strongly believe that program like this will help us to hit the refresh and to think about the solutions of today's complex business problems in the new directions. The key question in front of us today is dynamic and agile business environment is how people, organizations, and societies can and must transform and hit refresh in their persistent quest for new energy, new ideas, and continued relevance and renewal. So what I believe that let's rethink, renew, re-energize, reframe, and rediscover the new soul. As I always believed that the only constant is change. And moreover, this change is accelerated during this pandemic. And we have all seen that. So what I believe that, what I appeal to all the participants here, let's come together. Let's join our hand to crowdsource the business ideas. Let's brainstorm what challenges and opportunities lies ahead of us. And let's try to learn to incorporate different points and perspective. I believe that we all come together and earn more cash. So here I cash means K-A-S-H. So let me hungry for more knowledge. Let's develop newer attitude. Let's acquire the skills which require us to excel in the future business environment. And let's develop the habit of continuous learning. So just to summarize what I'm trying to say, that things are evolving and very dynamic, and we have to continuously learn and unlearn. If we are not doing that, then we will be left behind in this uber competitive and omni-channel business environment.
Very, very valid points, Dr. Jakar. And I mean, you made a point saying business as usual will not work anymore. I mean, in the last 2 years, if one thing that everybody has seen is the fact that not just the pandemic, but also, the global supply chains are getting disrupted because of conflicts, health issues, travel constraints, etc. And clearly, what we learned 5 years back or 10 years back is not as relevant as it was. And hence we need to push the refresh button. If I recall my own experiences in the last 18 years, I would say that, look, COO is clearly, as a peer to a CEO. In fact, when we look at the tech world, and we look at founders, typically one founder is a CEO, the other founder is a COO, right? And it clearly demonstrates the fact that the COO is actually equally important role to drive the competitive strategy and the growth of tech companies. So, couldn't agree more with your point around the fact that the role has also now evolved to where it is graduating into becoming a CEO role, or in essence, the responsibilities are distributed amongst two leaders, and one plays the role of a CEO, but then there's a COO also, which is driving equally strategic and competitive issues. I guess what it leads to is another big question, which is when I look at, let's say, a decade back, and I look at old economy companies, typically the role of operations was more around managing cost. How do you improve supply chain efficiencies? How do you source raw materials cheaply? So it was more cost focused. Increasingly, we are seeing that the role of operations is becoming more value focused, right? When you talk about, for example, home delivery, right? Clearly, delivering on time, delivering the right product, etc., is such a competitive advantage that a lot of companies now are actually ensuring that, especially in D2C environment, if you're able to get the right product at the right time, at the right price, then, you clearly build a very strong competitive advantage, right? So suddenly that role of operations, which was more about managing costs, has shifted to becoming customer centricity, ensuring that you have a strong value proposition in the market. And I must say, being a value manager rather than a cost manager. So how have you seen that transition, and what are some of the elements or skills that the aspiring COOs need today to ensure that they are now value drivers rather than just cost drivers?
All right. So very, very nice question. Thanks, Pranjal. So, being an operations, professors, I always think about that, if I need to define what is operations in one sentence to my 10-year-old son, then, I say one sentence, in nutshell, the role of operation is to match supply and demand. So there's a demand out in the market, and if we have supply, then we try to match it. Usually in operations, we always believe that demand is uncertain, agile, and moving over time. So in my supply chain case, in class, I tell my student that, designing the right supply chain strategy is to chase a moving target. So we have to continuously evolve over time. But when I look specifically this event, COVID-19 pandemic, this has actually shifted the focus. So what happened is earlier, the role of operation that there's a demand and your all plannings are anchored to that demand. So our goal is to match that demand, and how can we match that demand with the lowest possible cost? So all activity we do in operations are essentially centered around meeting the demand at lowest possible cost. So the key goal here is to minimize cost. But this COVID-19 pandemic had changed this perspective. So for example, this has disrupted the supply chain. This has disrupted the source of raw material. This has led us to think that some product which were very, very traditional, low margin product, suddenly there's a huge jump in demand and huge margin, and again coming down. So basically, in my opinion, the key role of operations manager is to develop an ability to see beyond walls. And if we can develop that ability, we will be successful. You might ask this question, how are we going to develop this ability? There are various ways. Data plays a very, very important role. We need to understand and analyze data. Otherwise, we might be mistaken. So as in your question, you mentioned about online this delivery. One day I was studying about this 10-minute delivery companies like Dunjo and all. And what happened is the two gentlemen, Aditya and Kavilya, these were Stanford graduates, doing this graduation from Stanford, and they, somehow stuck in first COVID wave in Mumbai. And then, they started a, grocery delivery company, and all grocery delivery companies accepted the fact that customers are discount driven. And if we have to compete and survive in market, we have to give discount. And actually they wrongly understood discount. In my SCM, I tease that, 99% of the discounts are wrongly understood. And what happened is they realized that the consumer to whom they were able to deliver within 30 minutes, those consumers have 60% recapture rate. And to the consumer whom they deliver more than 30 to 40 minutes, even giving as high as 50% discount, the reorder rate was very, very low. They understood one thing, that discount is not the only competitive strategy or winning strategy. Time is also very, very important. And then they stopped their existing firms and they started, this new firm called Jepto. Jepto is a mathematical terms, basically. But they again, they designed this dark room and hub and spoke model and delivering in 10 times. But basically understanding, analyzing and using data. There they have customer preference and demand data. They have the rental data. They have the geographic, traffic data, other data, basically to build a supply chain strategy. Just to summarize what I'm trying to say, that being an operation manager, it's a high time to think out of this very narrow focus of cost and think about value, and let's learn and develop this ability to see beyond walls. That is a need of the hour. Otherwise, we have seen historically best of the companies which were very top in the world, but they were very rigid and had a lot of inertia in their thinking, no longer able to survive in the market. So we have to continue, as I mentioned earlier, we have to continually learn and unlearn. And for that, we have to have a newer perspective to look at operations. So that's my response to this.
No, very valid thoughts there, Dr. Suresh. And I think at the start, you mentioned that the role of operations earlier was to match demand with supply, right? And it goes back to my fundamental understanding of economics, right? Which is there's also a demand curve, right? So at every price, there is a demand. And
Correct.
in some sense, the role of operations is also about getting the pricing right. You talk about cost, but it's also about getting the pricing right?
Absolutely.
If you look at, for example, hospitality industry, again, a lot of the supply depends on the utilization of rooms and locations, etc. And if you can improve the utilization, the pricing will drop. Similarly, air tickets and travel. And similarly, the example you gave, right, which is if I am able to deliver a certain product within a certain time, then I need not discount that product, right? And it improves the pricing power. To some extent, the operations managers are now dictating the pricing power, which to some extent was driven by marketing, is now being driven more by operations. And it's very interesting.
Absolutely. Can I add one line if you allow?
Yeah.
So basically, here at IIM Lucknow, me and Dr. Himanshu, we teach a course, revenue management and dynamic pricing. So, when we started initially, you see, this is one of the course, I think, taught in only 2 IIMs so far in India. And when we first proposed this course, a lot of people even in the academia thought that pricing is a domain of marketing. How you as an operations people are discussing about pricing. And then because now, as you rightly said, data plays a very, very important role in pricing. And we have, and moreover, this technology, like specifically e-commerce and all, allow us to change our price at the fingertip. It's very, very easy to change. So as you rightly mentioned, pricing plays a very, very important role, and we need to understand price correctly. That's very, very essential.
Absolutely. And I do know that, and we'll talk about it later, I do know that there's a module on financial planning and pricing in the program, which is very relevant. But maybe let me take that cue of data, right? Because ultimately, I think what again has happened in the last decade is data has become omnipresent in some sense, both data within the company, outside, and clearly in that context, the role of operations has shifted. So question to you, Dr. Himanshu, as you think about the role of operations, as you think about the changing context, what is the role that you feel a data and technology plays? And what are the kind of skills that our operations managers and aspiring CEOs need to be able to tackle that data? I mean, you yourself have been a Six Sigma expert, so I'm sure you will bring some of that experience to bear here. Say how can the COO or aspiring CEOs leverage the data and technology to become more and more effective in their role?
Yeah, so my take on that would be that the role of CEO has always been very ambivalent, to say. I mean, it is cross-functional. A CEO is supposed to collaborate. And what has happened in the last couple of years, I mean, data was always important. It was always there. But with digital transformation, with the way in which technology has upped the ante, what has happened is that now it is imperative for all the aspiring CEOs or equivalent head of operations or operational leaders to be able to understand how the technology is changing. Because you see, technology is, for example, blockchain technology. Now, a COO in a retail operations company, in a supply chain company, should be able to see what could be the implications of a company like Ethereum or Polygon, apart from being a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency companies, in the way that they can affect the way supply chain contracts are made. Or, for example, a CEO of a financial firm should be able to see what could be the possible implications of the way in which blockchain can alter financial transactions, right? But also at the same time, I'm not just propagating. I mean, they should also see, or that there could be impediments why blockchain is probably not as commercially viable because of its electricity usage or so on and so forth. My point is, technology does change the way we do things, and COOs should be able to see that, should be able to anticipate that, number one. Number two is, even if technology is not changing the things entirely, just adopting appropriate technological advancements may help the COOs in improving their KPIs, productivity metrics, in improving their whatever they are doing in terms of improving their efficiency and effectiveness, both at the same time, kind of pushing the envelope. It gives them quite amount of slack in terms of the resources that they can use somewhere else. So that is also somewhere. So my take would be that it was always important for CEOs to know about technology. Now it is all the more important. It is imperative. It is indispensable for operational leaders. So you see, there are chief data officers, there are chief information officers. In bigger organizations, for example, if it's a bigger IT firm, probably they will have their independent seat. Otherwise, in smaller organizations, they may report to the chief operating officer, or even otherwise, chief operating officer if it's a ERP portal which has to be digitally transformed. It's imperative that COO and CIOs are working together. So it is indispensable right now that CEOs, operational leaders, are able to see what changes can be made in their business models. If Nokia had seen the advancement of Android in 2003, probably it would have ended up in a better state than it did. BlackBerry used to be the provider of the cell phone to the President of the United States. It no longer is. So my point is, nowadays, the shelf life of the companies, the way in which your business models changes, it goes out in a jiffy like this. So you have to be on the lookout for what newer things are coming. How can they affect you? You have to, operational leaders right now need to be able to make scenarios, need to be able to, it is not just an operational role. It has got more strategic end to it. Yes, I mean, like you rightly pointed out,
it's very interesting you talk about that, right? And again, I can share an example from my investing days when we were investing in direct to consumer commerce companies. The role of data is so important and the technology is so important, right? That the demand has to be predicted at a pin code level. It changes by pin code level, and basis that demand, how do you streamline your operations to ensure that you're able to deliver the right product at the right pin code at the right time, is something that the magic is something that the operational leaders are creating right now, right? And which is why if you see very successful founders, they all come from operational backgrounds, because that's the magic that is getting created, right? And unless you are able to appreciate the role of technology and are able to apply that technology in the right context, you will not be able to create that magic. And I think that's what operational leaders are required to do now, right? They're required to create that magic. And I'm sure all of us can relate to it, right? Because when you order something on your phone and it gets delivered at home without any problem, it's almost an assumption that, okay, it will happen. But behind that, there is a magic happening that the operational leaders are doing.
True. That's right.
I think maybe, in this context, right, where we are saying, A, the role of COOs has shifted. B, data and technology has empowered the COOs to be able to create magic. In that context, what are some of the unique features of the program that, our audiences should know about, so that they understand that, look, this is something that can help them and empower them to become the next level of COOs? We want to highlight some of those aspects of the program, Dr. Himanshu.
So, yeah, see, in such kind of a program where we are dealing with people who probably would be having more than 15 years of experience, 20 years of experience in their respective sectors coming. And I was looking at the questions which have been posted in the chat, whether it is going to be manufacturing, service based, if someone's got an experience in IT. See, my point would be that we look forward to building this program as a platform for the blend of industry and academia. So what we are planning, it's not just going to be an instructor participant relationship. We are looking forward to evolve, and we are going to assume ourselves as the role of a facilitators, wherein we can get the best of academia and industry alike. So we'll have practitioners on board, we'll have consultants on for their lectures, and moreover, we will tweak the pedagogical approach according to the content. So if probably if it's an exercise in digital transformation, it could be a little bit more hands-on. If it's an exercise in financial accounting, or let's say on the softer side in social behavioral skills in terms of understanding the customer, if it's an exercise in change management or design thinking, probably pedagogical approaches of group activity and case studies are going to help. So we are going to bring in, we will try to bring in the best of the appropriate pedagogical approaches according to the content, to be delivered by the best of academia, irrespective of their association with IIM Lucknow, outside IIM Lucknow, some consultants, so that is what we are looking forward to. We are looking forward to having to being in a position where we can allow this platform to nourish and kind of help the participants also use it as a way to network amongst themselves. Like-minded people in operational space, looking forward to steer their skills, upskills themselves, their knowledge, domain knowledge, functional or otherwise, cross-functional, and being exposed to different kind of learning environments. So probably someone coming from IT would appreciate the interplay of a logistical organization, or probably the impact of a logistical organization on the supply chain metrics in terms of financial metrics, or probably everyone, actually all the CEOs, irrespective of their sectors, manufacturing or otherwise, a service or otherwise, would gain from the lectures on customer behavior. How does customer behavior, because ultimately at the end of the day, whether if it's a client contractor model, you are estimating the demand and you have a product. So right now, I believe there was a survey about, so the thrust areas right now amongst business leaders, there was a survey by Gartner, I believe, if I'm not wrong, about 71% of the business leaders think, I mean, in terms of the importance, the product design is much more higher up as compared to customer experience. So product design takes in itself, I mean, you can only design a better product if you know the minds of the consumer. Let me share you one important incident which happened. Adidas has started experimenting. They've an experience store. Probably they've opened one in Florida, one in Atlanta. Two. I'm not. So what it basically does is, you go to a Adidas store, and if you want to try, let's say you want to try a shirt on or a trouser, you probably can try it on. If you want to buy it, fine. If you don't want to buy it, they have a body size scanner where you possibly can change the dimensions. You want it to be a little bit more tapered, the sleeve should be such, the color should be such. And if you want to get it delivered to your house, fine. If you don't want to, you can just leave. And Adidas is using that information. It is using that customer insights to peep into the minds of the customer and to be able to predict the fashion trends sooner than their contemporaries. So a lot of different things are happening. We will try to bring in as much varied experience as we possibly can. Like I said, we are going to be facilitators, and we will try to build this platform as an interactive platform wherein professionals from various sectors can bring in their own functional expertise and knowledge, and can build upon that on the basis of collaborating among their peers with the the industry experts, consultants, and senior academicians, whosoever is available.
Understood.
Can I add one point, Pranjal?
Yeah, Dr.
Yeah.
Suresh.
Yeah. So you see, we in business school always think that what is different in, let's say, business school and specifically in India IIMs. So you see, what happens is, people here might have done their at least definitely undergraduate studies in some of the colleges and universities. So the key difference between that educations and this program, because there it is, they prefer more of educational text, where it is believed that the real as logical and coherent, but the real business situations are more fluid and inevitably involve uncertainty. So here our approach, as Dr. Himanshu mentioned, is a facilitator. The biggest gain here in this program is those, let's say, 60-70 minds coming from different background, and after completing this program, everyone will feel like they have worked on those 30 different industries. So they will learn from each other's mistakes, they will learn from each other's success. We will facilitate them. We might not be giving you answer for every question, but certainly we will pose a relevant question. And in my opinion, raising the right question is more important than finding the right answer to wrong questions. So we will facilitate, we will ask certain deeper questions, and we will debate, we will discuss. And ultimately, we believe that nothing is right and wrong in business environment. It all depends upon various contexts. We will put you into the shoes of the protagonist in the cases, and will bring different perspective. You will debate. So basically, in a nutshell, this program is designed to have a multi-dimensional views of a business problem. And I always say that at this stage, we might be 5 blind people who ask to describe an elephant. And we have to raise our level of thinking and see bird's eye view that how an elephant looks like. So I think that's what differentiates this program from your undergraduate studies. Yeah.
Makes sense. So I noted a few things. One, as you said, that there are 10 important skills for an aspiring COO. So the program covers those 10 skill buckets, be it change management, be it financial planning, be it industry 4.0, etc. Right, all of that. It's about real world cases. It's about peer learning, not just live teaching from the best faculty, but also facilitation from industry experts. And in essence, it's about each one learning from the other, so that combined, knowledge and skills are shared. And like you mentioned, Dr. Suresh, at the start, you get the cash, KASH, right, from this program. So I think that's super helpful. I think also, just for the benefit of the participants here, this program will be delivered in partnership with Emeritus, which is a global education and technology provider working with high quality institutions like Harvard, Wharton, MIT, etc., and in India with IIMs, ISB, etc., including IIM Lucknow, to ensure that the students get their high quality experience virtually, which they would have got in real life as well. So that's sort of is the experience that this program will deliver. I'm conscious of the time. We have about 15 minutes and about 17 questions which are unanswered. So maybe I'll take it on first come first basis. The first question has been asked by Srinivas. He's saying that I'm 22 years veteran in IT industry and have several roles, operations roles that he's taken in engineering and ops as well. What is this course going to add value for me with my 22 years of experience and focus on IT industry? Dr. Suresh, Dr. Himanshu, any
Yeah. So I think Srinivas is 22 years away from the kind of academic setting and discussing and debating outside his organization. So one of thing is, there are two benefits. You will get benefited from, as you mentioned, similar people from different backgrounds using different approaches, and other will get benefit from your experience. So it's a mutual win-win situation. And and about the content and everything, I think we already briefly mentioned. So in my opinion, yes, it's going to be a beneficial. You might be more busy in your day-to-day activity, business as usual situation. So this program will force you to, think beyond what you do and what might lies ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, makes sense. I think the second question, is also again in a related context where Balaji is asking whether the modules focus on a particular sector or are they more broad-based. I think the answer is they're more broad-based. You get an experience from all the other industry sectors as well, which is what is the benefit of this program. But anything you want to add, Dr. Suresh or Dr. Himanshu?
And I think you answered well. So we have 16 questions, so let's move fast. We don't have more than 1 minute for one question.
Correct. So I'll keep moving. I think the other one is by anonymous attendee. He's asking, adding to how this program can help people who are already heading a business or a division or a sales or a marketing function. So he probably is heading a function, and the question is more, can this program help that individual become a more cross-functional leader? I believe so, but again, I'll let Dr. Himanshu and Dr. Suresh answer that.
Yeah, so since he's heading a business, so definitely he has more knowledge and expertise in that particular function. But how those functions are interrelated, how the decision made by that particular functions and performance of that function impact others and vice versa. So basically, since this program is designed to provide both soft and hard skill on one hand, and then both manufacturing and service organizations, and then knowledge specific to different domains. So I think it's basically is going to broaden your horizon of thinking beyond the functions you are heading. So that's what I think this program is going to provide.
Yeah, I'll keep moving. Niranjan Prasad asked a question saying, is it mainly focused on tech or supply chain companies, or will it also cover examples of service-based companies? I believe so. I mean, we did give examples of Walmart, Amazon, and Zara, but again, Dr. Suresh, Dr. Himanshu, you want to just elaborate the kind of case examples that will be covered?
Yeah, so what happened is, we will bring in the faculty members from IIM Lucknow. So like in operations group, we have people who are specialized in, let's say, e-commerce operations, specialized in, service operation like airline, myself, for example, or some people specialize in manufacturing, and some people specialize in, new technologies and the role of industrial 4.0 in operations. And so we will bring in people from diverse background, and we'll try to cover, all possible industries in this program. So it's not specialized to particular, industries or supply chain, but it's a more diverse program.
Vijay asked a question saying, we understand that this program will help in, pressing the refresh button. But specifically, I think his question, his question is that, is the program related to the managerial aspect of the COO, or does it focus mainly on the leadership aspect of being a COO?
So it will actually, in our opinion, to be a successful COO requires both. So we will cover both aspects.
Yeah, I'll maybe just add to that, Vijay, which is that if you're looking for, practitioner-based, insights, etc., you'll get that. But at the end of the day, given that it's a cross-functional program, it will enable you to be a empowered COO, and hence the program says COO and not, operational leader, because at the end of the day, it's more attuned to empowering you and enabling you to become a leader. Muralidhar had a question saying that 10 modules, which are very different from one another, and it's been designed that way. So how many faculty members will be covering these modules, and will we get relevant faculty speakers from the industry to cover those specific modules?
Right. So, for example, there is a module on digital transformation. So we'll bring in from our, IT and system area professors to talk about that. Similarly, if you talk specifically number, I think we will involve at least 20 professors, maybe more than that. We will seek professors, availability and the module wise planning. So, IIM Lucknow currently have more than 90 professors, and will bring industry experts, and if required to deliver some program, if you are not able to find in-house faculty, we are open for outside faculty also, of either of IIM Lucknow standard or above IIM Lucknow standard, definitely not lower than that.
Yeah. Muridhar, you also asked a question saying what's the experience of the faculty in discussing these cases? I mean, again, given it's IIM Lucknow and a top 5 B school in India, I would believe that, rest assured, the quality of faculty and the knowledge that you will obtain will be unparalleled. So I'll maybe sort of keep moving and not specifically address that question. I think that's something that, I think IML, as I said, really needs no introduction. So you'll learn from the best, is how I'll put it. Then there's a question from the anonymous attendee saying why one should choose this program over other senior management programs of IML or other IIMs. Can you share a better perspective of, what is a specific thing that the candidate will get prepared for as a CEO role?
So I think other senior management programs are more generic in nature, and this program is, specifically designed to keep the challenges and the responsibilities of a COO or to be COO. But definitely there will be some overlap between those programs and this program, but there will be some specifically designed content which, with respect to COO. So that's the difference between this program and the programs.
Yeah, I'll maybe just add to that, saying the examples, the real world examples and case studies that you will get in this program would be specific to operational problems. Now, of course, operational problems have become strategic in nature, so please keep that in mind. But that is how the course will be, and your peers will be from similar backgrounds, so you will also learn a lot from your peers who are also tackling COO kind of problems. That's the other thing which will be unique about this program versus a general management program. Vikas asked some question, but I believe the panelist Janki is addressing that, so I'll let her sort of type the answer out. Rakesh again has asked for a similar question, saying, is it helpful for the hotel industry, or I would say the travel industry, or does the program cut across domains? I think the answer is it cut across domains. And again, the idea is that you learn from other industries. Given that the digital transformation is impacting all industries, including travel industry, I think one of the benefits of this program is also to be able to learn lessons from the other industries and examples. I don't know specifically there's any hotel industry or travel industry case example.
Yes, so we have case. If we found many participants interested in that. In fact, in our revenue measure dynamic programming, dynamic pricing course, we deliver hotel industry to great length, because hotel industry is something which has characteristics well equipped for dynamic pricing. And actually, in fact, they are implementing dynamic pricing. So yes, we will bring in case if we have participant. But otherwise, whatever we discuss will equally be applicable to hotel industry as well.
Understood. Got it. I'll keep moving. I know we have just short of time, so we have about 3-4 minutes left. I think Devendra, you asked a question around what is the process to execute orders without product items in the inventory. I think that's something that probably will get addressed in the program, so I'll skip that question. Then there's a question from Pragatish does this program be helpful for leaders in the BPO industry? I believe so, but again, quick reword from Dr. Suresh or Himanshu.
Yeah, so it's a service industry, so we will cover, as we mentioned already, we will cover the service sector also. So,
yeah, so we'll keep moving. Vasik has an interesting question. He's an army veteran with 20 years plus of experience in defense, and then 10 years in corporate as business head, 57-year-old. He wants to know whether this program will be relevant for him, keeping in view his vast experience, diverse experience, and age.
So I think I strongly believe that age is no barrier for learning. So there's no age that you should learn only at this age or you should not learn. So as such, I don't think there's any reason to believe that at this age. And vast experience, yes, that will be really helpful, to connect the academic content with the real business world. So I think yes.
Yeah, I think again, I'll just maybe add to that saying, Vasik, your experience in defense actually will be very interesting and also insightful in the case of operations, given that, you sort of thrived in an environment which has been volatile and uncertain, right? So some of the leaders need to take calls which are, again, driven by uncertainty. So this course should be extremely helpful for you. Saurabh, yes, I think the program is regional agnostic. If you look at some of the case studies also that are mentioned here, so I believe this should be helpful for you in your UAE context. Then there is a question from Anil again on the paramilitary force side. I think we sort of covered that through a seek. So I'll keep moving. One question from Natraj, which is interesting, is saying, is it applicable for leaders who don't have a COO background and who want to start ground up?
Yes, definitely. So this program is also for people who are aspiring to be COO, not necessarily the need to be COO at this moment.
Got it. Okay. Then there are a couple of questions around, again, travel industry, and people are looking to transition from that industry to, some other industry or moving up their career. How will the program be helpful for them? Any quick pointers there, Dr. Suresh Manchu?
Just to add to what my co-panelists are talking about, I see the variety, the most of the questions are about the participants coming from a certain background, and they want to know how is the program going to be pertinent for them. See, practical considerations do not allow us to address each and every sector independently, but the way in which the course content is designed, it ensures that the broader learnings, which are equally applicable, it may have to be adapted in a specific context, is deliberated upon. So, for example, if Professor Jakhar talks or discusses in great detail a case study in aviation sector in R&D, in revenue management, probably it will have some takeaways for people who are working in hoteling as well, because the basic interplay of the decision making doesn't change. I mean, it does change, but there are things that you can take from there. So that is just to address all the questions which are broadly on the lines that I come from this background, I have this amount of experience, will it be pertinent for me or not? So we will largely be focusing upon the basic fundamentals of what it takes to be a COO, and you could be a CEO of service sector, manufacturing sector. We are not going to build functional expertise. We are not going to build, so otherwise it would have been a program designed for CEOs of logistics, of retail operations, of IT, So, but that's not how we look to a CEO. Like my co-panelist mentioned, that it's a strategic decision-making role. It's a very important role, and we would like to deliberate it as such. Yeah, please, Mr. Tan, sorry to interrupt. Please carry on.
Yeah. I think maybe I'll just cover one last question. There are a couple of questions saying, does the course have similar weightage as a full-time course? And there was another question around, does the certificate carry the recognition for transitioning of a of their role or job. As emeritus, we've worked with, as I said, marquee reputable institutions like IIM Lucknow, and we do have examples of our students having made the career transition, or moved into a CXO role through these programs. So, specifically, if we were to draw parallel between our lessons from working with other IIMs and even global institutions of running CXO programs, and participants having made the transition to a CHRO or a CFO, we do believe that a similar sort of a transition path will get created by the students through programs like IIM Lucknow COO. So it does carry that weightage in the industry for you to enable that transition. I'll maybe end here. I know some of the questions are still pending, which the team will answer around assessments, etc. But I'll sort of end the panel discussion webinar here. Again, Dr. Suresh, Dr. Himanshu, thank you so much for your insights. There were some questions around, operational problems which we didn't cover, but I'm assuming that will definitely get more than covered in the program itself. So we didn't cover those, and I'll hand it over back to the moderator to sort of conclude the webinar.
Thank you, Pranjal. Nice interacting with you and the participants.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranjal, and thank you, professors, for a very enriching and interesting discussion. I hope all the attendees got answers to most of their questions and more clarity about this program. So the applications are open for this program already, and the deadline is approaching. It's 30th of May. So go ahead, apply for the program and onboard with us for a great learning journey. We look forward to giving you this enriching learning experience. Thanks everyone for attending this session. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Good day, guys. All the best.